Rhinestoners. Welcome back to episode 16 of Rhinestoned.
Down, I will do the jazz hands to the day
Yeah,
I die.
yeah, you the jazz hands.
I don't care.
We missed a week. It's
Mhm.
okay. We're back. These things happen. And yeah,
Yeah.
literally been so much that's been going on. It's insane. I feel like we are like at peak like Bravo right now. It's like there's so much and like things that we don't even talk about because like I watch Top Chef. Like I don't know. I've just been feeling like overloaded with content, but like in the best way. It's been great.
And also it's like I don't know, but we've been having a lot of fun in the clubhouse. Like not that we need to talk about that, but I just love like a
Yeah.
Craig, Austin, Shep, why we just had them on. Like I don't know, it's been like a oh, and even people like I don't know if you watched Rob from the traders gift the
Yes.
Birkin bag,
Yes.
on in the clubhouse. Yeah, we've just been having like a lot of fun on
Yeah.
Bravo.
I missed the initial gifting. It was so funny. We watched like halfway through and I was like, why is she holding her bag like that? Like I just didn't get it. And then later on I was like, oh, okay, that's why. She was makes sense. Because I thought it was so
Thought that,
weird. I was like,
thought that whole thing was like so weird and just great television. I don't know.
and
Like,
the fact that Rinna was involved with like the
yeah,
hookup and like all of
yeah.
that. Because that was the thing I didn't understand immediately. I was like, how did they get that bag?
I will say
Because
that
you
bag
like
was
have to,
obviously like a pre-owned Hermes.
yes.
And Kendall Jenner recently did like another architectural digest. She's always doing those.
Yeah, is she like, what is going
I
on?
don't
Just like,
know.
are they like
I
holding
don't
her
know.
for ransom? I'm sorry. It's starting to feel weird every time because I do love Architectural Digest. And so it's one of the things that comes up featured on YouTube. Okay.
Mhm.
Why does it
Yes.
like every single time I'm going on there, I'm like being forced to watch another
She built a
Kendall?
new house,
I don't understand. I think she's trying to become an interior designer.
which I have a
And
whole like we
that's
don't
what,
need to go too deep on
yeah.
this. Okay, so two things that are not on our schedule. But yeah, anyway, to put a ball on that, she was showing her Birkin bag and a lot of them are like, these like old and worn in. And I do not think that Kendall Jenner is cool. I did think that was cool though. I was like, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're gonna do it, like do it. Mhm.
Well, okay, now we're there. Now we're going down the tangent. To that point, we have to give her props where props are due. I also saw this guy saying like it's insane her card collection. Like
I
I think
know.
you do have to give her credit that like
I
she
know.
listened to her father, he
She
taught
has an
her
interest.
well, she took
Yes.
it in, and it
Yes.
like shows in more than one way. You can tell that she is that like responsible, savvy
For
family
sure.
member who is going to
Yes.
own a shit ton of very valuable things if the world doesn't end, you know?
Yes.
Like, yeah, she's a collector. Good for her.
I think that's cool because to be honest with you, I think that there's part of that it's like Americana
Yeah.
and history and like me, I don't think that there's anything wrong with being patriotic. Hot take. Um okay. Second thing that we were not going to talk about, but I do think is interesting. Miss
Okay.
Kylie Jenner is trying to be an actress, and we all need to clock it. Okay?
Oh, like that Charlie XCX snippet?
Then they did a Vanity Fair cover that just came out this week, very in depth.
Yes.
She's laying the groundwork, okay? And it's very smart what she's done. She's used this tiny little role in this Charlie XCX film to, I think, jump off from that. And to be honest with you, and this is, I literally sound like Club Chalamet right now, and I'm really sorry. Like, I know these people, all right? But like, I honestly think it's probably because Timmy was like, you can do this.
Of
Good.
course. Or yeah, I mean, well, I think they all have a history though of using men to legitimize their
Oh,
careers,
ooh, that
right?
part. Mm,
So
mm.
I don't know. I mean,
I
she's
didn't
dating
even
an
think
actor.
about it that way.
She's dating an actor. Now she wants to be an actor. I mean, you
I think
know.
she's the most, listen, she's charismatic.
I will say it's funny to me hearing that Charlie XCX wants to be an actress because when I watched that scene, only one person was acting and it was Kylie Jenner.
Thank
So,
you.
in
Thank
that
you.
sense, if we're comparing, I think she
Yeah.
has a better shot than
Yeah.
Charlie XCX, who is like blatantly saying she wants to start being an actress.
And Kylie gives us so little of her actually speaking. Like, really, the way that she has crafted her whole persona is almost like talk about the love story, right? It's like
Yeah.
the Carolyn Bessette of it all. It's like we're gonna look back and be like, did we ever really hear Kylie talk? Like she's like smattering here on the Kardashians. None of the videos on her TikTok are ever of her speaking. They're all just, like
Yeah.
she's not really out in the eye in that way. So I do think she is a perfect vehicle for acting because it's almost like that's what makes actors, I think, more captivating when you don't know a lot about them, when they pop
Yeah.
up and give you this performance and then like Jesse Buck.
Well, I mean, the other reality too is like it could be coming from it could be influenced by him, but it's also like Kim's doing it.
And
Kylie's always
people
done
aren't
everything that
like
Kim
hating it. Well,
does.
people, I guess,
So
aren't.
I think that's the other thing. Like that could be woo, did I lose you? Oops.
No, you're here. Hey.
That could be the other reason, maybe.
Yeah,
She's
like if she
watching
can
her
do it, I can do it.
sister. I mean, why not? Kim's
And you're,
finding roles and she's also getting older, so there's gonna be you know, a space left open for
I
someone. I
agree.
think I don't know. It also I think is just gonna be really interesting to see what happens in Hollywood because
Yeah.
like right now in this moment, I would say, not to be mean, but like Kylie Jenner, it's hard to see her playing certain types of roles, right? Like we just have certain
Totally.
ideas in our heads, I think, of
Right.
like, oh, like, you know,
Right.
this is what you
She's
look
not gonna have
like
a
if you're like in a serious film, right? Like you have but with all of the, plastic surgery and Ozempic going around, I'm not sure, like, is that even gonna matter in like 5, 10 years?
I
Anyway,
don't know,
because like
but I
people's
need
faces
to
aren't their faces anyways.
I
And
know, but you'll
actually, this was not something we planned, but I forgot. I should have put this on because I did want to talk to you about this. I think things are really starting to get scary. And I meant to
I know.
bring Margot Robbie up and then I forgot. So I'm just going to do it now. Like, did you see the most recent photos
Hmm.
of her?
Hmm.
Are you seeing what people are seeing?
Hmm.
Like, it I just feel like with her specifically, it hit a nerve,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
because we've watched, Emma Stone, like there's so many.
I was gonna say Emma Stone.
I'm not
Sorry,
even
I
gonna
was gonna
bother
go.
naming all the names, like Demi Moore, like there's so many examples. But I think with Margot Robbie, she's someone who just always had that like roundish, very beautiful like face,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to see her coming out looking so like gaunt, like
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, I'm really not loving this moment right now. And it does feel very different than when we went through it growing up. I think that's the
Hmm.
other thing that's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, things go in cycles. We went from cocaine chic to like big butts and J-Lo to, like, think there's cycles. Things swing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth again. But this moment of thinness feels so different than
Yeah.
before for some
Yeah.
reason. And like,
Oh,
it's scary.
we're talking, I mean, I knew that we were gone when I believe it was the last Oscars cycle. Ariana Grande put rhinestones on the whatever this bone is that I should know, the bone that should not be sticking
Clavicle?
out of your body.
Yeah.
The one on top here,
Yeah,
okay, like the
your
the
clavicle bone.
shoulder bone.
Yeah.
Okay, that I knew I was like, no, 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 no. That's not a place where we bejewel, right? And we give praise to the fact that okay, and then
Those bones aren't supposed to be sticking out. Like I saw
at
like a
all,
nutrition video this week that were like, you're not supposed to be able to
at
see anything
all,
up here. Like,
at all. And Emma Stone is wearing them like a a war medal. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
well, some of the
proud.
commentary is like killing me. Like I can't remember the actress's name, the redhead from Stranger Things. She was on the red carpet. You could see like her rib cage on the
Okay.
side, and
Yeah.
someone had like was I don't know if it was like in the comments or if it was like in the caption. or like I think it might have been the point of the post where they were like, "Oh my God, she's so fit. Like it takes
I
so
know.
much work to get, to that."
No.
And then I went to the comments and like then I at least felt a little bit relieved because most people were like, "That's not being fit. Like that is an eating
Seated.
disorder. That's not like a result of working out. Like we're looking at her entire rib cage, rib by rib. Like I don't know. I think it's really disturbing the message it sends to young girls. I think it's disturbing for women in general. Um,
Well, let me just say this. I know that I've been affected by it, and I had to check myself this week because The Bride came out. Maggie Gyllenhaal is making her rounds. I'm
yeah.
looking at Maggie Gyllenhaal being like, look at this old lady. And I had to check myself. I had to say, no, this is a woman aging gracefully.
But
This
it's
is,
not your fault that you're noticing it in that way because you're being trained to. I think
I
like that's
know.
the other thing. Like
So bad.
if we were being, confronted with the majority of the examples being women who were just aging naturally or not even aging, just not getting on Ozempic, like that would not be your reaction, right?
Right.
You would just be like, okay, yeah, that's like a normal person,
Right.
but you
Right.
feel that way. So you shouldn't feel bad about having that reaction. It is jarring simply because you don't get to see it. So you're just
Thank
like,
you.
wait, what am I looking at? It's like, oh, that's just
Right.
what a normal middle-aged
Right.
woman looks like, you know?
Right. Yes.
Um, so it's
Ugh,
it's a complete mind fuck.
it
Like
really is. And
I
you
just
wonder too, let me just say this and then I'll put a bow on it. I do think the one thing that I will say is if a byproduct of Hollywood not accepting your face anymore, being that you're going to go behind the screen and be a director and tell some fucking awesome stories about women, then I guess I'm okay with that byproduct. I still think Hollywood should be doing
yeah,
more to be putting women who are aging gracefully in front of the camera. However, if we're taking back our power by then becoming creators, great. And I think that is what Maggie Gyllenhaal is doing, right? Like, I'm not going to play
yeah,
the Hollywood game anymore. I know only certain roles are going to be given to me
yeah,
unless I acquiesce. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go make some amazing projects.
yeah,
Um, so, kudos to her. I have
yeah.
not seen The Bride. I will not see The Bride, but I
I
did
don't know. It's
see
seeming like maybe not like great
Maggie
is what I'm
Gyllenhaal.
hearing potentially.
She has made, what was the one that she made, though, before this? Movies, directed movies. Maggie, The Lost Daughter. That was
Yeah,
the one I was thinking about. That one, as a married woman, for those who know,
yeah.
very, very interesting film about what happens when you are a daughter-in-law that maybe the son does not want anymore and what that
Her
means.
husband is in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and her talking about like directing her husband in the love story or in the love scenes. I was
Yeah.
like, this is because she was uncomfortable. She was uncomfortable, and you could
Oh,
tell.
I saw a clip actually of her saying that initially she did not want to cast him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
I
was
was like,
very, very reluctant to do it.
I'd be rocking in a corner. Oh my God. I could never.
Yeah. That would be hard. Well, so I mean, as you mentioned, we have Oscars coming up this weekend, and I think unfortunately, yeah, I feel like we're going to see a lot of skeletons, which I don't know. I think it's also affecting how I feel about the fashion too. Like, I
Oh,
just don't, things don't look as good
are
either.
we getting
So,
any new fashion, by the way? Like, not to go too deep
well,
into that, but
everything is definitely in such a like, I feel like there's sort of a hesitation to wear color because there's a long history with like what stars wear on the red carpet and
I
what's going on
agree.
in the wider world and like
Yes.
the context and all of that. And that goes back like to the early years of Hollywood, right?
It's
So
not time to break out our florals.
no one I think is feeling comfortable enough to show up in a Nicole Kidman chartreuse dress,
Yeah.
and like have a moment. I don't know. Maybe the Oscars will break with that, but I think if we think about the award season this year, it's just a sea of black and white, maybe a
It
little
is.
silver. I just, I think again, I get it. I understand why people
I
are
get it.
uncomfortable.
Thank
Some
you
of
for
these
saying
red
that.
carpets have occurred on the same day of some of these crazy world events that we've been
Right.
having, like the same exact day. I saw before we hopped on that there already are, threats that the FBI has reported against the Oscars
Yep.
this weekend. So I think it'll be a sea of black and white on the red carpet.
That's a really good segue, sis, because what I was thinking about is to talk about things that are under attack. Timothée Chalamet's whole career.
Oh man.
What happened?
The biggest downfall in an award season,
Wow.
just a
Ooh, wow, we've
talk about
fallen
a
hard.
crash and burn, man. He really, I like, here's the reason why I love this. First of all, it's well documented how much you love him. And I think it's maybe not as well documented, but I have told you he is not, he's never been my fave. I've
Oh,
never really understood it. Okay. So I am feeling very validated right now in this moment.
big.
But
Nicole didn't even know that Timothée Chalamet was a New Yorker until, I don't know.
he seems like a loser. New Yorkers are cool. Okay, like, come on. I,
You don't like that white boy swag?
this is a forgotten word, right? But like when you and I were growing up, one of the worst things that you could be called was a poser.
Oh my God, are we children of the 90s?
And for me, he is the definition of a poser. That's how I
Oh,
feel about him.
yes.
That's how I've always felt about him. He's just
You know what
trying
he
to like
is? He's pretty fly for a white
right
guy.
guy.
He is that song.
Yeah. No, I mean, exactly though. I just nothing special. So for me, his rise has been a little bit surprising anyways, because again, I just want to take a second and directly speak to Timothée Chalamet fans. Please just tell me what it is you think that he has been so good at. He had, in my mind, there's like maybe 1 to 2 films where it's like, wow, I don't think he was that good in Marty Supreme. And I still
Did you
maintain that
watch?
that was a terrible movie.
Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna hit you with this one, and I already know the answer.
Yeah.
Did you watch Call Me by Your Name?
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. I don't what else does it I don't feel like out
I
like
think, to be quite honest with you, okay, I think it's the Connor story of it all, and we saw it on SNL, and we're starting to see it, right? Where it's
he
like
just
we
became something in people's minds because of
Mm,
that movie.
mm.
Yeah. I remember that and it that was true at the time. I
I
remember
think he's ridden off of that, is what I'm saying. I think he's
yes,
been riding that until the
100%.
wheels fall off, and I think the wheels have started to fall off.
I think it is the best example of the media environment that we are in. I don't think it has ever been easier to ride a high, to your point, maybe continue to soak that fire for a few years. I mean, he has been smart in some of the choices he's making. This Matthew McConaughey special on CNN recently, like clearly he has that validation, but it shows with the last few weeks, and and we'll get into the opera comment, the ballet comment, like you can always not escape being your own worst enemy. Like he just, and again, like it is crazy how fast the media moves and that like we started off this award season him winning and everyone being fairly confident that that meant he would get his goal. Because let's be honest, that's the other thing that's so like hilarious to me about the way the award season is set up is it starts out with all the awards that really these actors don't care about getting. Like they're all just waiting to get to the Oscars, right? So when you start to win initially, like that just further fuels them towards their goal, which is like,
Yep.
I'm going to get the Oscar. I'm going to get the Oscar. I'm going to get the
Yep.
Oscar. And I do think this will go down as just like one of the most spectacular examples of like starting off where things are looking exactly the way you want them to. And now I don't think there's a soul out there that thinks he's going to win on Sunday.
This is something that I've never said to you, and I've been meaning to say this to you for so long, okay? When we were growing up, Nicole and I, we used to play the cassette tape of Little Women so much that I think it like burned, it got stuck in the VCR. It was like, I cannot, I'm overheated. I cannot be played anymore. And if you were of that generation, you know that our Teddy was Christian Bale, right? And like that movie was very formative as a little girl because that was kind of like, oh my God, the first time you really saw like a man on screen, okay? What I have never said to you before is that I also think, so I think it's Dune. I
Yeah.
think it's Call Me by Your Name. And I think the one that we always miss because it just was not on our radar because of our age is that there is a whole generation of girls that were introduced to Little Women through the Greta Gerwig Little Women. They don't
Yeah.
even know of our Little Women. They
Yeah.
don't
No, I
know
know. They just know the
Winona
real.
Ryder. And their Teddy is Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
And so and I see these TikToks all the time of like that scene on the hill where he's running after Shorsha. I can never say her name when I want to say it. Shorsha, Shorsha Ronan. And
Ronan.
he's like,
Yeah.
I can't help it, Joe. I've been trying for so long. That scene is like
Is like pivotal. I get it. I
formative.
understand. I do get it.
But
Look,
for you, we're not Gen Z.
it's the same thing with his musical equivalent, Harry Styles. Okay? It's the same exact thing. I will never understand
There you
why
go.
they are sexually attractive because
Perfect
I
example.
was not the right, yeah,
Age.
100%. It's this, which
Exactly.
by
We
the way, if they're
missed
not
it.
friends, they should be. They have so much in common. They really
Oh
do.
my
I
God, I
think
know. They
Harry
should.
Styles, Timothée Chalamet, they're the same thing in their industries to me.
They
Equals.
love, you know what they both love? A sloppy makeout. And I love that for them. And I love that for them.
100%. I see
Just
so many similarities, actually. I just
yeah,
like, yeah.
just an M. Rada sloppy makeout. Never talk to that girl again. She's good for that.
Although I don't think Harry Styles has dated a Kardashian.
Yes, he
Yes.
has.
Oh, wait, no, you're wrong. Wait.
Original.
Okay, maybe they are friends. That's so funny. I totally didn't think
Wait, maybe they are.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure they've crossed paths.
I do like that Aperture song.
I think I like the American Girls one
Yeah. Yeah,
better.
I like that too.
I think I enjoy that one more. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being spotted all around New York right now with Zoe Kravitz. They're just like out, like people, like I've seen like a bunch of videos.
What's up with Zoe Kravitz? What's up with that? Does everyone, what is that? You got to get your Zoe Kravitz pass stamped if you're a Hollywood male. Like
Oh,
what's that?
I actually think they're gonna get married.
I could see that. That's very like FK Twigs, Robert Pattinson vibes.
Well, I was making the point the other day. I feel like that if you think about it, like she is uniquely positioned to understand him.
Yeah.
Her
It's
father was
like
a sex
born up in the
symbol who
yeah,
traveled the world,
yeah.
performing his music and, being mobbed by women and things like that. So I feel like in that way. But yeah, it's been really funny because he's just like totally acting normal, walking around New York City and like no big deal. Like people are just snapping him everywhere. They like had video of them walking over the bridge this past weekend.
That's so
Like,
awesome. I love that. Good
yeah.
for
So
him.
yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, but going back to Dear Timmy. So, I think, yeah, who do we think is gonna win if it's not him?
Well, I think probably if I am going to go with this is an award that is supposed to I'm sorry, this is a trophy that is supposed to award the best performance in acting. I think sometimes you can look at that as like a feat,
Yeah.
right? A feat of acting. And I do think that maybe, I don't know, because Sinners was not something where I feel like Michael B. Jordan had to bring all of these acting chops. I feel like what he had to do, well, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
what he had to do was play two roles and be very technical in that. And I feel like that's a feat of filmmaking to have an actor who is convincing in I'm this person, but I'm also this person,
Yeah.
and that is hard. And so I would say that whatever you feel about the genre that maybe Sinners finds itself in, I think he should win for the feat of playing two roles. And I
Well,
also
if we
think
go with the most recent,
there you
award,
go,
then
SAG.
that sort of shows the precedent that, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know. It will be
yeah.
I will be very shocked if Timmy wins at this point.
I honestly, to be quite honest with you, I would be shocked if Michael B. Jordan wins too. I say that because that's what I
Yeah.
would hope the Academy would do. I don't think that they would actually award it to him.
Yeah. When it comes to our actresses, I just have this weird feeling that like Kate Hudson is going to win. And
I
that's where
know,
like,
I know,
and I
I know.
really like Kate Hudson, so I'm not saying this to be mean, but I think that the general pop does have a sense that like the Oscars feel very rigged in multiple ways, right? That like there's things being controlled in the background, that decisions are being made based on the political climate at the time, like, so it's not like outside the realm of possibilities that this is not the fairest competition of all. And I feel like there's something about her entering into the race that just feels very like destined or something, you
Okay,
know?
so that
So
is
it's
so
gonna be
funny.
it's gonna be weird, but I just have this feeling like I of course would love for it to be Rose Byrne because that's my girl. But I don't know. I think it's either gonna be her or I think it'll be Jessie Buckley. I don't think Rose is gonna win, sadly, as much as I want her to.
I think, hold on. As, oh, give me 1 second. Okay, this is what I was going to say. I think you're totally right because I've always suspected that there's something going on with Emily Blunt. Like, Emily Blunt has always had this career that is like started and stopped. And then, I don't know if you remember this, like 5 years ago, there was when movies were still in movies, okay, like
Yeah.
before COVID. I believe this might have been like 2019, so maybe 7 years ago. Mary Poppins came out, and that was supposed to be like this huge. I mean, that was literally supposed to be her Oscar moment, right?
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen. That really failed and was like a huge disappointment at the box office. And then she had this bit role in Oppenheimer like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that she got nominated for an Oscar for. And I
Yeah.
remember she didn't win the Oscar, but I remember I had not watched Oppenheimer that year. I'm sorry, it's just not a film that I was interested in. I should watch it, and maybe I will. But anyway, point being, I remember watching the Oscars and thinking, she was in that film for like 30 minutes. She got an award. And I'm going to say this too, and I'm sorry. And I want to know what you feel about this. I kind of also feel this way about Tiana Taylor. Like Tiana Taylor was in that movie for like 5 minutes and she has been the main proponent of every award ceremony. I mean like what
Yeah.
she's wearing, her daughter on the red carpet, her presenting, like people talking about her. Like this has been the year of Tiana Taylor and to your point, I'm just wondering like but that just seems very industry plant-like because Tiana
Yeah.
Taylor did not give this amazing performance that would warrant an Oscar nomination. So it does just feel like to me a little bit like like the like rent is due. Like someone made a promise to Tiana Taylor a
Yeah.
long time ago. Rent has finally come due and it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll just give her what I don't know. Is
No,
that
but
crazy?
I no, I think that it goes back to what I was saying even about like just how quickly, Timmy rose and fell. I think by the same token, there is a sense of more than ever, all of these awards feel like more indicative of whoever was able to feed the machine in the right way. And I do think that, that is an evolution of where the film industry has gone. There was a time where you, I remember it being much clearer going into the Oscars who you thought was going to win because people
Yes.
collectively had seen this collection of films and
Monoculture.
it was just so apparent that like one film was obviously more popular that year. One performance was just so amazing that, and
Yeah.
now it just feels like we're so detached from the performance itself as part of it. And like to your point, it's just more about who has, the right ability that year to pull the right strings or who's being propped up for something else that might be coming down. It basically like the summary is like more than ever, it feels like PR and marketing and social
Yes.
media is controlling the industry and the outcomes and who you see versus actual like tastemakers or reviewers or critics within the industry itself. You know, that's what I
So
would say. I think there's a power shift that's been happening,
yeah.
and yeah, we're at the full-blown PR machine moment.
And okay, so we're gonna do this very quickly but we do want to touch on it. So to put a bow on Timmy, this week he came under fire because basically he had made comments in an interview that he had done on film with Matthew McConaughey where they were just, shooting the shit and talking about films this year.
Yeah, I
Uh,
watched part of it. It was interesting.
I would recommend to our Rhinestoners if anyone wants to watch a good Matthew McConaughey interview, just YouTube Matthew McConaughey green egg or Matthew McConaughey cooks steak, where he goes into a 10-minute monologue about how he cooks his steak. It is sexy and educational. Okay, so but point being, he's talking to Matthew McConaughey and this conversation, and I want to bring this up because it goes exactly to what you were just saying, sister, which is Timmy made a comment that got, I think, taken out of context of this whole interview where he basically had said, I don't want to be taking part in industries where I'm having to beg people to come through the door, things like opera and
Yeah.
things like ballet. And so a lot of people were up in arms. How could he have said this, right? The fact of the matter is that these are two struggling art forms. They are propped up currently, I believe, the ballet in New York by Saudi money. So they are trying to find any way to, stay relevant in 2026.
Yeah.
Like what he's saying is not untrue. I understand maybe the delivery, people didn't love it. I honestly don't think he was saying anything crazy. But my whole point in even bringing this up is to say this. Timmy, you were walking around with 12 men with orange ping pong balls on their head. Timmy, if you don't think that that's begging people to come to something, then you have fundamentally misunderstood the job that you're being paid to do, which is to be a marketing and PR puppet. Like,
Which, like,
come
he was
on.
what literally he orchestrated or wants us to believe that he orchestrated the marketing campaign
That,
for.
yeah. Timmy
Great point.
wants us to believe that he came up with that idea, and the whole organic marketing team is sitting back there like, yeah, okay. It wasn't the organic
Well,
marketing
I'm
team's
sorry,
idea.
let's be real. Without all of that convincing, people would not have gone and seen that movie because it was a terrible movie. So, of course, they had to spend all of the money convincing them into the seat. That is such
And
a
yet he's
great
saying,
point,
I
Tiff.
don't want to
Great
have to
point.
beg people. You're begging, Bubs. You're begging.
There was so much begging. You created clothes. There was like I read articles about all of the marketing that went into
You could
Marty's
say
movie.
your
They were
whole
like it's gonna
relationship
be
is
one
a
of the
beg.
most preeminent like case studies on how to market a movie.
Wait, video of him talking to the brand team.
Oh
The
man.
whole viral video of him talking to the brand team about what we could do.
I
That's
honestly didn't
insane.
think about that. That is absolutely hysterical. Like you're so right. It's just like
Timmy,
what is he?
Timmy, baby, wake up.
Spend a lot of time convincing people.
You're doing all your time.
You
You're
went
about to
you
wait.
wore a matching orange leather outfit on a red carpet with your girlfriend.
To have a whole baby on begging, okay? That man's about to have a whole child off a beg, all
Man.
right? Stop it.
I mean,
Stop
yeah,
it.
look, I hear you. I think some of it's getting twisted. I think he does mean what he said in terms of like how he views what it would be like being as part of those professions. But I also think that like everything gets taken out of context now. And like I think most actors are better off just like not answering questions like
Well, let me ask you this. You went to the opera
yeah.
recently. What does that look like? Is that well attended? And I know that was just like a random, but like, what
Well,
does that
yeah,
look
I
like?
mean, I saw like I do tend to agree. Like I saw Doja Cat come out and like really condemn him, and her point was like people are still like
Hmm.
clamoring to go to these things. I do think that's true. Like in New York, at least it feels that way. Like at most of the time where I go look to see, oh maybe we'll go do this or that. Like things are booked. Like
Nearly sold out.
there's no seats. Like
Right.
and when we
Yeah.
went to the opera, like it was a packed house.
It looked that way in the photos that you sent. It looked like it was
Yeah, it's completely
packed.
packed. So like
Yeah.
I just, I think that's where I think that's why people are having that reaction because you're like, okay, well, we're here in New York and like people are, even like, like I've been watching Mark and Kelly more and like they always ask the out of town actors, like, what are you doing this week? Like while you're here. And like almost all of them are like, oh, I'm going to see like 6 shows while I'm here and I'm going to this and I'm going to that. So I think like that's where like, yeah, maybe of course, like smaller cities, you're not necessarily seeing like the local ballet company, be booked out or whatever. But I think if you're like in cultural hubs, um, I don't think that's the case. So I think that's why a lot of people kind of were like, he's just wrong, you know? But
I
everyone's allowed to like have their opinion, right? And like in his mind, I think the bigger point of like what he was trying to say is just that like movie is still an art form that is accessible to people.
absolutely, and thank God for it.
I think that's really all his point. I mean, I think it's silly where you can't argue is like, yeah, of course it's a little bit easier to get someone to sit down on the couch and turn an app on than it is to go out and like get dressed up and pay for opera tickets.
Okay,
So,
wait, you know
like,
what I was thinking though too?
I don't know why that's like such a revolutionary like concept.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking about this the other day, and not to go dark, and then we can move on to other subjects, but like I was thinking about sometimes when it comes to movies, taking COVID out of it, because I understand COVID put a huge dent, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes, and you know what made me think about this is because I saw this TikTok of this girl who's sitting in a movie theater,
Yeah.
and a guy rounds the corner, and the kind of like, the words that are playing over is like me in the movie theater doing a 360 CIA view of you to figure out whether or not you're going to kill me, and like that is almost this thing where I feel like as an America we kind of pushed under the rug, and we're sitting here and we're thinking like, oh, why are movies dead? No one wants to go to the movie theater. And I'm wondering sometimes, because I know this for me, that I feel like a sitting duck in a movie theater sometimes. And I do worry about someone rounding a corner or standing up and blowing my head off. Like that is real. And we haven't addressed that at all in movie theater
Yeah.
culture. We've done
Yeah.
nothing to mitigate that fear. We put that guy in jail, and then we just moved on and said, oops, he was crazy. He had green hair. And never going to happen again. And it's like, but what if it does happen again? And then
Yeah.
when I would argue, if you're going into the Lincoln Center, it's a little bit easier to scan for things like weaponries, right? So I don't know. It's like I'm just it's just a thing where it's like once again we've decided to just push this thing under the rug, and
Yeah.
then wonder why maybe people aren't doing the thing they used to do all the time. I
Yeah.
don't know. Might not be a huge
I
percentage of
mean,
people, but
no, I know. I
I
think
think about it all the time.
of course. I mean, how can you not? Well, I think that's just the reality of going out in America right now, sadly.
I
Well,
know, I
next week,
know, I know.
Rhinestoners, we will be doing a full debrief on the Oscars
I'm
because,
so
we'll be
excited.
watching the red carpet and the actual show this weekend, even though this is my least favorite of all of the awards shows because it is long and it is boring. But that's okay. We will make it through.
I'll be there for
So
Streisand.
yes, definitely. I you had mentioned this to me and I had already seen it sort of popping up, but every so often, New York Times Modern Love section will see like one of their stories or articles really start to go viral. And that was the case this past week.
Mm.
With this Q&A that was pulled, I think, out of a podcast episode, but the title was Lindy West thought she couldn't handle polyamory. She was wrong. And really sort of goes through the story of this writer's marriage and sort of introduction into a polyamorous relationship. And just it's a Q&A back and forth about a lot of her experience. But I think it was definitely making the rounds and
Yeah.
been seeing a lot of critiques and a lot of commentary. But um I know you flagged this one to me, so what piqued your interest?
What piqued my interest is when you are in a state of delusion, you don't need to open your mouth and be interviewed. It's okay. It's okay.
You think, but I it. I thought she said she's past that point. I thought this is the like she's settled in and everything's cool point. You think she's still in a state of delusion?
When you've talked yourself into a state of absolute delusion,
Yeah.
um, no, I just think I think that this is another example of someone trying to convince us of something as they convince themselves, right? And
Yeah,
I
totally.
flag it to say like I I think if you really are interested in this story, you should look up the accompanying interview that was conducted between herself, her husband, and their third.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
because the whole time he's holding their girlfriend's hand and is not even touching
Yeah,
her, his
I didn't.
wife.
Great.
He's, you know,
Shocker. Based
yeah,
on the Q&A, not surprised.
yeah. And so it's one of those things where when I'm reading that, what I'm parsing out of this is, this was someone who came to her, right, and told her he wanted to be polyamorous or they couldn't be together. And so
Yeah.
that was the first compromise, an acquiescence of
Yeah.
herself, right? Is to say, okay, well, in order to be with you, then I'm going to accept this. And then you're into the relationship and he just goes out and gets a girlfriend without you, right? And then so that's like your second compromise of this is not polyamory. And that's all I
Yeah.
want to say is that,
Yeah.
when
It's
we're
more of
talking
a
about
humiliation ritual.
this is a humiliation ritual that now this woman is trying to come out and paint with a paintbrush of polyamory because I don't know, that makes her feel better about, again, the delusion that she's living in. And I don't need it. And I don't think it should get this amount of press. Maybe if
Why
this,
do we have to hear about this? I
thank
think that
you.
was what struck me reading it. I just was like, maybe like, I understand that she's a writer and there's interest in her personal life, but maybe just like say less. Like, I don't think that she owed anyone this explanation, and I would frankly have preferred not to have heard it. So thank you for that, sis. I
And
appreciate
this
it.
is a little bit why I say everyone, and I say this all the time, and it's one thing that I'm hoping to teach my children. This is why like media literacy is so important
Yeah,
because the reality is that this one, the writer who interviewed her knew exactly how this would go.
yeah,
Okay? The writer knew that this girl would be eaten up in the comments, that her post would go viral. She sought
of
this out.
course.
This is the same thing where people go, "I don't understand what happened with Love is Blind because don't they do psych evaluations?" It's like, yeah, they're doing psych evaluations to find the craziest people, you guys. That's what they're doing the psych evaluations for. They're not doing the psych evaluations to find the most normal. The most normal people don't make good television.
Yeah,
People, media literacy, like, come on, you're being fed a story. And like this woman obviously thought that she was going to go and tell this story of her love. And the story that she is telling is so I think she was used, to be honest. To your
yeah.
point, I don't understand why this is news at all, especially in the world that we're living
Well,
in. Like
because I
I
do think
understand
I think there is a current obsession with polyamory. So I think
there
that's one
is.
thing. I think that is, it's definitely like having a cultural moment. My issue with it, and I know that these other people do exist. I personally have just not met them or personally encountered them. But I don't want people to come for me because I am sure that there are some people out there that are like this. But majority of what I have read, encountered in real life, it's never people who started out or who just on their own
Hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
have come together, and each of them individually was like,
Hmm.
I was polyamorous and then we found each other, or I was interested in this type of lifestyle and I found these people and these are the people I'm with. I never hear those stories. The stories I always hear are this woman's story, which
Yep.
is being convinced of it by someone else that is
Yep.
interested in pursuing that type of lifestyle. And that is actually why I struggle to see it as a path that I would ever take, because
I agree.
just aren't hearing these types of stories of like, I was a fully formed person and that led me to polyamory. And then I found this other person who was also, and now we're all living harmoniously together. That's never the story. So like, I would actually love to hear those stories, to be honest. Like, to
Please.
me, that's way more interesting. So like,
And I know they
if
exist.
Rhinestoners, if those stories exist and you can point us to them in the comments, like I would love to read an article or hear a
Same.
podcast about people that are like, where that is the case, right?
Yes.
But like more often than not, it's, you know, a man or a woman coming to a partner and saying, like, I want to pursue this and this is a deal breaker for me. So either you stick around and let me go on this adventure or you don't. And I don't really care either way, you know? Like,
Absolutely.
it's just, it is. I
Plus
just feel like
one.
that is being held hostage within a relationship. And to me,
Yes.
it's not healthy. And I think that to your point, like, that Q&A read as her definitely having to still convince herself of something. And even some of the points she was making about like how the rest of us should be thinking about it, I'm just like, fuck off. Like, I
Thank
don't,
you.
nothing about reading your experience here makes me want to take advice from you as it relates to
Absolutely not.
lifestyle choices. So,
Absolutely not.
yeah,
No.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna see this topic end anytime soon. This was obviously like the latest entry into the conversation, but I would like to see more responsible journalism in that, like, if we're gonna write about polyamory, if we're gonna talk about it as a trend that's happening, like, let's be honest about the people that are suffering under it, and let's bring to the top, you know, the really truly positive and healthy stories in which people are making these decisions on their own and then coming together, not because they're having to have the relationship dynamics be abruptly changed or forced upon them in a new way.
And everything you just said is dead on. I have nothing to add except for maybe that to go hopeful. We are still, you guys have to understand, I don't know who's listening as far as generations go. The millennial generation is still a generation that experienced an incredible amount of shame when we were growing up. I know I'm painting with a very large paintbrush right now. I know everyone didn't, but we were still of the generation of like not only the way that our bodies looked if you were a young girl, right? And having to like, but still being gay, that wasn't like in the early 90s and mid and early aughts, like that was still somewhat, and even I guess to some degree now, right? Because we see with heated rivalry, like it still
Yeah.
is so ooh, interesting and shocking to people, I guess, in some way. But through that lens, I guess my hope is that maybe Gen Z, to your point, experiences childhoods and adulthoods where they are able to be more free so that they can enter into these relationships with more honesty in the beginning,
Yeah,
right? And say, like,
totally.
I've been living polyamorous for 10 years. It's how
Yeah.
I've always been. You know, I've never had shame around it. My mom and my dad know, right? Like, maybe that is a new generation. I would not say that Lindy falls into that generation, nor does her story. But if that's the way it's going to be, then, like, great. And I'm
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah. No, totally. I agree. So I don't know. Like, I just, you hate to see it, you know? I just, that's all I gotta say. It's hard enough being a woman
Another baddie down.
without going into the New York Times and opening up about how your husband forced a girlfriend onto you.
Come to me with
But to
that.
each his own, to each his own.
Come to me with that.
Um,
Okay.
well, we have been, as I said, away for a week, which means we have not had time to catch up on our shows, meeting
Hmm.
Bravo, because those are the only ones that matter. And Summer House has had a very interesting flip these last 2 weeks because if I were to summarize last week's episode, simply put, Sierra and Jesse. And if I were to summarize this week's episode, simply put, Jesse, West, and Sierra. We had a full flip, folks.
And wow.
And this is
West
also still the
crafty.
only storyline that we're really getting. Let's be real. That's the other thing as a quick summary. I mean, we'll dig in a little bit on this Ben and Bailey thing, but like basically we're still just only getting this. So this
Yeah.
is how I know that this is a contrived storyline because I don't know how we're flipping from one week it's Jesse and Sarah and now we're talking about West. It's okay. Okay.
And the whole like okay, I'm sorry. But the whole like I don't know, like him inching towards her, like the way that he's doing this reminds me so much of like middle school too, like the way that in which a middle school crush would it's hard to watch. Like I don't know what's going on in this house. I understand. Okay, and then this is, and I want to hear your feedback on this too. Early in Summer House, we used to bring people back to the house, and I don't know what happened with that either. Like, I don't know if these storylines, like, here's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if these storylines have to happen this way because of the fact that no storylines can now happen outside of the house because maybe there's some rule in the Hamptons or filming or something.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember the whole way that Amanda was introduced to us was Kyle being on this show,
Yeah.
meeting Amanda out in the Hamptons, and she constantly would be,
Yeah.
on the nighttime screen running around like a little mouse, okay, until finally she got introduced on screen. So I'm just wondering, like, Jesse's sleeping with people, Wes is sleeping. Why don't we get to see them come back to the house? I don't get it. I don't
It's
get
just
it.
weird. It's weird. I just don't know what we're watching anymore at this
That's what I'm
point.
saying.
Like
It's
it's
all like so it's like they've been giving like, hey, the show is going to be about going out and partying in the Hamptons and having one night stands, but we're never going to show you in the Hamptons having one night stands. So it's all going to be about the house, which it never was
which
that.
then
Like the
means that it
first,
has to be them hooking up between themselves and then
right.
like
But all
yeah,
these
it's
people are like married or having a baby or engaged. It's like, but none of them are single. It's very obvious to me, at least from what I'm seeing of Ben's Instagram. I don't think Ben got a girlfriend 1 second after the show. I'm pretty sure from what I'm seeing, Ben has a girlfriend during this filming.
he
I and
has
I
to. I don't understand how they're this serious. This. The other
they're
thing
in
that's not working
love.
for me is the inconsistent well, I don't want to say casting, that's not the right phrase. The inconsistent availability of the cast. This
Mm-hmm.
week, I really felt Carl's absence. Like there is just
Same.
something like
Same.
it's just weird when we're just left with and it's the same thing with Lindsay hopping in and hopping out. It's like I don't really understand from a production standpoint how they are supposed to get any storylines going if we're
I
like
do.
having people dip in and dip out, and then even with the newbies, I mean, I keep forgetting her name, Bailey's little friend. Like, is
Levi.
she on the show or is she not on the show? Because
Right.
they keep cutting her out. Like, she barely gets any thoughts or reactions. Like,
Right.
I was like, okay, we're getting her like staying home with Bailey, but like, what's going on with her? Like, why are we just catching up now on Bailey's love life? What's happening with her love life? Like, it's very strange. It feels very chaotic. It feels like they're unsure of what to focus on. I don't even understand where we're going in terms of the rest of the
Well, and I
season.
would
Like,
just
it's
say,
weird.
you made this point coming out of the 90-second why, where you were like, I'm a little afraid about the new castmates being fans. Then we kind of, we backtracked on that because for the first couple of episodes, Bailey and Levi were really getting in the mix. And then we got introduced to Mia and it was like, oh, Mia's awesome, right? Okay. However, to your point, going back to that feeling this week, the way to me that Ben, here's what I want to say. It is still a show.
Yeah.
And usually, when you're shooting a show, there are still in that cast, you do have a ranking. Okay. So, like,
Yeah.
Kyle is first billed. Like, let's be honest. And honestly, they're not all also getting paid all the same, too. So, that's something to understand. Okay. So, in my estimation, what I saw this week, Ben reacting that way to Bailey let me know that he considers himself to be fifth billed and
Yeah.
and Bailey's eighth. And how dare an eighth talk to him that way. And Bailey's there like, but I'm on this show too. And he's like, but not on my ranking. That was and when he looked at her and was like, I feel like something else is going on and you don't want to say it. I almost felt like that's what it was, that it was like, you're mad that
Yeah.
production isn't giving you screen time. And so you're trying to get screen time by coming after me. And I almost felt like, what are we watching here? Are we literally watching like these two people fight about screen time right now? And Ben
Yeah.
put her in her place about the fact that she is not to interrupt his screen time? Because that's what she did. It was his turn to speak, and
And
then
then
she interrupted, and then
totally.
that then the storyline became about Bailey, and I think Ben's whole thing was, no, 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 this was supposed to be 15 minutes on me.
Well, even if you go to the heart of the comment itself and back to what you were saying about him potentially having a girlfriend during this time, that also would explain the reaction that he's
Mm-hmm.
just freaking out, realizing that he's about to be portrayed potentially in this way on this show. And I think that's where,
Uh-huh.
again, we've lost the plot on what the format was supposed to be. I felt so bad for Bailey because,
Me too.
one, she was 100% right with her comment that if one of the guys had said that, it would have been like a funny comment. But two, if we were on any past season of Summer House, it also would have played totally fine. It feels like we're sitting around having like very precious orchestrated conversations where her making a, let's be honest, it wasn't like a tasteful joke, okay? But her making a crass joke elicits the type of response that it does. We're not like sitting there at like, you know, some fancy dinner that you guys have like put
Your
together
bridal
at
shower.
work, or like, you know, yeah, or like some, I mean, I do realize it was Amanda's birthday, so I get that it's a birthday gathering, okay? But like, you guys are still having this birthday gathering in the context of being at your summer house for the weekend, okay?
Right.
It's not that serious. Like,
You're about to play spin the bottle.
It's very bizarre that like these are the things that we're gonna like have a reaction or like turn into it, you know. And so I agree with you. I think there's probably a couple different, we both could be right, it could be both things, there's probably a third thing we're not thinking of. Either way, it all adds up to the same thing, which is like this all feels very manufactured and forced, and it's making it hard to really enjoy some of the new people, because I will say I love Bailey and I actually really love KJ too. He for me has emerged as like, you know, and I think that people like Ben are distracting from that. And then the constant changing of the availability of the OG cast is distracting from that. Like, I don't know. It's really hard to put my finger on exactly what is happening, but it's just one of the strangest seasons I think we've seen.
It's one of, and I will say this too, you know what the gag of it all is like, to your point, Carl and Lindsay should have stuck that thing out, man. Because
oh my
Carl
God, they would have been perfect for each other. It doesn't make any sense. They really effed that up.
We could have had a whole Carl and Lindsay spinoff. Carl would have been the best dad. You know, like that whole. They could have. I mean, yes, would it have been Bethany and what's his name? Take two, probably Jason Hoppy. Take two, yes. It would have been scary in the fighting, but like I don't know. I think they could have worked it. I think
this is where timing does play such a big role though, because like from Lindsay's perspective, like it is hard if you have like a partner who's struggling for that period of time and is just like self-destructing, like after a while you're like, okay.
Yeah. She prioritized being a mom, and listen, I can't fault her for that. Like I can't fault her for that. Like I don't agree.
But I agree with you. They definitely still have that energy of like
energy.
They would work out. So yeah, I feel like we're, you know, I don't like what is happening to Bailey this past episode, because I just think that again, like, wasn't that big of a deal. And I feel like they should be.
We love you, Bailey.
We love you.
Yeah, seriously.
Ben, I don't love, I'll be honest. And it's not just because of how he like reacted in that scene. I didn't really see what the big deal was with him even before that. I don't think he's as attractive as everyone says he is either. No. So yeah, you know, it's just weird. I was dead over Amanda making the comment that now she has this watch so she can leave Kyle.
I love her calling her mom.
The reason that like that stuck with me is because of my theory that I shared when we first started reviewing this season, and that I think that Amanda and Kyle are already broken up and we're just watching them act out the ending of their relationship. And actually this gift like further plays into that. Like I think it's just, you know, because again, Rhinestoners, to refresh your memory, I fully believe that they broke up and were well broken up before filming started, and basically just put on a charade of like their relationship ending. So if you believe that to be true, the gift is so strategic on Kyle's part. He's like, okay, I already know that like eventually people are going to know that we're split up and there's going to be sides taken, and I am just going to look amazing if I give her the exact thing that she wanted for her birthday. And that's exactly what happened, as Amanda pointed out, right? I also think that's why her comment also lines up with my theory when she was like, oh, did you see how it was more of a moment for Kyle or whatever, right? Like her clocking that and saying that comment is because they're already split up. That's what you wouldn't say that if they were in a like good place still trying to like, you just would not say that. If your husband gave you an amazing gift, which was what you wanted, and you guys are working on repairing your relationship, you're not turning to your friend and saying, oh, did you see how it was really more of a moment for him? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, she's saying that because she's annoyed. She knew in that moment that he was manipulating the narrative, and she's doing the calculations in her head of like how this divorce is going to come out and how it's going to be perceived. And she's in that moment simultaneously like happy that she got that watch and also thinking, fuck, this is going to make him look so good. Like, it's
I
just so
will say this.
transparent.
I will say this. First of all, this girl deserves that watch. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
She deserves
And
that
more. She
watch.
deserves a few watches.
But what is also crazy to me is like Amanda, I'm pretty sure now
Yeah.
seeing her reactions to the questions that the producers are asking her when it's her diary room moment.
Yeah.
Okay. What I think Amanda has known for a long time that her husband just goes out and cheats on her.
That's the other thing I'm not buying. Like, and that's where like I don't personally have a lot of respect for her because I think that now, like I saw a reel recently that was saying like basically, I mean, and not like in the same way because I haven't seen her necessarily reap the rewards of that, but someone was making the point that Amanda is getting the same like Paige DeSorbo slash Ariana Madix treatment in terms of like, oh, we feel sorry for her, we need to support her, and like blah blah blah. And the person was like, what has Amanda ever done though to deserve that? She was like, they were like, why? Like, she's given nothing, she gives nothing on the show, she has nothing going on. Like, why? Like,
That's,
you know,
you
and it's
know,
like, it's
and everyone, and I will say, like, to defend Kyle for 1 minute, everyone this week was talking about the okay, well, Kyle didn't invest in soft bar, but Carl invested. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you guys, can we be honest with ourselves? Carl was showing up. Kyle gave Carl a job
yeah,
for years where Carl was showing up to that job coked out of his mind, not showing up to important meetings, and Kyle continued to ride for that man. And then
yeah, and
Carl
be his friend
quit.
and support him.
Thank you. And then Carl quit and made the whole season that he had with Lindsay before him and Lindsay broke up. That whole season was about I don't want to work with Kyle anymore, and Kyle doesn't appreciate me. And then the season that they broke up, it was Carl trying to get back into Kyle's good graces to work. So I just have to say, like, I'm sorry, you guys, but like, if I'm Kyle, I'm sitting back and thinking, fuck all of you. I have given this guy so much money, so many chances. I've covered for him, right? Like I would be so livid that people were like, "Oh, Kyle should get Kyle has done enough." And I do and I say that only to say again, yes, was she a part of Loverboy? Absolutely, but she was on Loverboy payroll. Loverboy has a board of directors. It has other people that aren't
Yeah,
just Kyle. And Kyle went to those people and put his wife on the payroll and gave her a salary every month. So it's not as though Amanda was doing free labor in his apartment. That's
yeah,
not the reality of this situation. She was a creative director, she was titled as such, and she got paid as such. So also it's like I don't have a bunch of sympathy for this idea that like Amanda has had Loverboy taken for her. She was an employee.
yeah.
And from what I understand, she still is.
Well,
I
I
think
think
she's
that's
still
also
working.
why when she's talked about it, she doesn't care to fight for it. I don't know if you've seen her mention that a couple
Right.
of times because like
Yeah.
people like have, you know, other people in the cast have been saying like, no, what are you doing? You need to get a lawyer,
Right.
blah blah blah. I think like there's a reason that she doesn't
She's
feel
like,
that way.
I've made my 700 grand from Loverboy. I
Yeah,
got
she's
paid
like, I'm good.
$150,000 every year for the last 10 years or whatever. However, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was on the payroll. I got health benefits. This is a real company, you guys. Like, go on
Yeah,
LinkedIn. There's other people that are on Loverboy. So I like that is the one thing I think I want to say, just as I said to Addison, maybe not too much on Kyle Cook right now. Like I do think maybe sometimes we need to. He is not Tom Sandoval. He did
yeah,
not. I think that they were in a relationship where his wife knew basically from the genesis of their relationship that he has a wandering eye.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I just don't understand how you ignore rumors for years and years and think like, oh, whatever. I mean, come
because the
on. If
benefits are
you're
too good.
yeah,
Because
and
the
her
benefits are
saying
too
like,
good.
oh, she became desensitized to it, it's like, you know,
Because I'm living in a skyrise apartment in New York with my two dogs, getting paid a great salary, going to the summer house, getting a hot husband, getting the appearance of having everything that everyone else wants. If he goes out and makes out with people at the club sometimes, whatever.
yeah. But that's what I mean. Like I think to the point of her getting the Paige and the Ariana treatment and it not being justified, I think for me personally, there are of course, a lot of like legitimate things that can happen in a relationship where it could be hard to leave. And then in kind of like reflecting on that experience, you know, you can then to the audience be honest about like, well, this is why I wasn't able to, right? And that's why like with Ariana Madix, what happened. She was cheated on. Everyone agrees that that's an effed up thing. So that was her being blindsided, right?
Right. Right.
With Paige, you were watching like Craig's behavior like deteriorate towards her and all of that. Like there was no like, oh, now
Who would
he's
want
cheated on too. So I
Right.
think to your point with Amanda, it's like it's a woman who actively knew that cheating was happening like for a while and
Mhm.
a while. That I think is why it's hard to feel as bad for her or as supportive of her because it's not blindsided by a cheating scandal. It's not, oh, my boyfriend became an asshole on television progressively. Like, which that is true for Kyle, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yes.
she had this other smoking gun,
Yes.
basically, that should
Yes.
have been the big
Thank you.
flag that you need to
Thank
get
you.
out of this relationship.
Yes.
And it's well documented that she was aware of
Yeah.
it. So, like, it's not our fault that you chose not to believe it, Like,
Him.
it's
I
just
would
hard, it's just hard to relate
never.
to, I think. I think people can relate to like, oh my God, my boyfriend was effing my really good friend, or like,
Yes.
or oh my God, like this guy's becoming really annoying, but like
Right, but I can't relate to someone who knew throughout your courtship
that he's like
he
stepping out
had
on you.
so many things of infidelity and then the ring went on the finger. Like I would never that is a type of relationship where I do think a little bit, and I'm not calling Amanda a gold digger, but we have to step back and think, you guys, maybe why was she accepting that? And at that
Yeah.
point in her life, being a young woman in your 20s and this man who is established and who's on this show, she was not original cast member, okay? She joined this show. So even that could have been for Amanda, like I get to be on this show.
Yeah.
Let's not put Amanda in this sainthood that maybe she couldn't have been, kind of being like, okay, well, he's not the best, but I get to be famous. Come on, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Because
Come on.
there was something in it for both of them.
There's
For
something in it for
sure.
both of them.
And
I
I
mean,
think that's
sorry, she has
I
a
think
20-inch waist and big naturals. So yeah, there was
I do think that theme, though, of sort of like there's two sides to every story, but we're just going to focus on that one, is becoming particularly annoying about Summer House, though, because I think if you extrapolate that out for me, it's kind of the same thing that's happening with the whole like Sierra West Jesse dynamic. Like, if we think about last week's episode, what annoyed me is like, I understand why Sierra was frustrated, but at the same time, you were flirting with him.
he's laying on your boobies.
You were flirting with him. So
Hard
like
flirting.
I like it. It's just weird sometimes the way that she processes through on those things, because I'm like, I understand feeling like an object, I understand you don't want to be talked about in that way or have someone talk about making out with you with someone else first without, yes, he
Yeah.
definitely maybe did not handle that the best. But I felt like there was this element of like shock coming from her. And it's like, you've been flirting with this man. Like, you've been giving him a lot of signals
You're
that
standing in front of the mirror. This
maybe a
could be our
kiss might be coming, or maybe that he
right.
might be able to kiss you and it would be accepted. I mean, you guys are like, you're on top of each other, you're in the bed. So like, it's just, I don't know. Some of these like patterns and cycles are just getting like very tiresome to watch, because it's like, I, as a viewer, want to sympathize with her in those moments because I'm a woman and I don't want to be viewed as an object either. But I'm like, you were definitely poking the bear.
Well,
So
okay, here's
can we
another
be
thing too.
honest about that? Like, and it's the same thing with Wes. Wes is so confused this week's episode. He doesn't know if he's coming or he's going. And, at least she was honest to say, well, I designed it that way. Right.
Yeah.
But that's where, again, it's like, it's hard to always be in her corner for me, because I'm just like, I know who you are. I know you want something serious. I understand it, but you're going about it in like a
A
very
weird way.
manipulative way, actually, if you think about it.
Well, here's the thing with Sierra that I will say. Sierra needs to learn the when you lay down with dogs, you're gonna get fleas. Sierra, what are you, like, I'm sorry, Austin Kroll. Like, let's not forget there were men before Jess and West who were even worse. I'm sorry, before Austin Kroll, it was the Luke guy, right? So Summerhouse Luke. I mean, that she was brought on through
Yeah.
Luke, who was the biggest poser loser
Yeah.
that we've seen on Bravo. So she does get blinded by this like pretty boy swag thing, and it's not working for her. And I do think the one, if I had to like give her a critique, it's that she's full, to your point, she's fully aware of what she's doing, because then when we're in the breakouts, she's like, do I have bad taste? Yeah. Do I know that after dark I'm not being good at my parole officer stuff anymore? Yeah. Like, she knows she's like actively participating. And I would say I've heard like a little bit like, well, we can't blame Ciara. It's not and it's like, that's like saying what's going on with Ciara is like, oh, you can't blame a woman for what she was wearing when, and
Yeah.
it's like, that's not what's going on. That's not, that's not what's going on. She's not just
No, it's
walking
not.
through the house.
She is participating, and that's the only thing that annoys me sometimes. Is I feel like she has this attitude of like, oh, wait, what? Why is this going on? How
I'm
could
just
Jesse
existing.
even think that we might be making out anytime soon? And it's like, because you're flirting with him. That's why. That's how that goes, girlfriend. Yeah, I think what I realized with this week's episode is I don't care also what happens with her and West either. Like, it's
It's
just
not real.
this is just so boring at this
Yeah.
point, And I also think
Yeah.
this is where, like, again, production needs to do a better job, or I saw there's been some changes to like social media clauses, like in Salt Lake City's contracts and things, which is also interesting. We can talk about that, but like, um, it's very hard as a viewer to have to watch an entire episode about Wes and Sierra potentially kicking back up their relationship in a week where there are actual real-time rumors that he's potentially hooking up with Amanda. Now,
Mm.
I think now people are feeling like that's not true, but
Yeah.
that just makes it so less
Yeah.
interesting television. Like and
Hmm.
I feel like there's no acknowledgement of that, or no like fine-tuning to try and avoid that. But like, realistically, how are we supposed to care about that when the current reality is something like completely different? We know they're not
Yes.
together, and oh, potentially he's actually dating Amanda. I don't want to sit
Yes.
here and watch what happened last summer anymore because it's
Yes.
irrelevant.
We were talking about this last week with Jesse, okay?
Yeah.
He knows what it is to court someone, to date someone, to be serious. When he was with Lexi, he was meeting her family. Okay. I am not saying that the Jesse and Sierra thing is not interesting. It is interesting.
Yeah.
If, to what you were saying last week, that interaction this week in the
Yeah.
kitchen was Wes coming to her and saying, listen, I fucked up. I miss you. Go on a date with me this week. Let's just do it. Might not be anything. And then we're seeing the filming of them on the date. Then now we're
Yeah.
making a show. Are you
Give
kidding?
us
I'm back in it,
something.
baby. Why can't we do that? Why can't he be a man? You're 31 years old. Ask the
Or
woman
why
out on
isn't
a date.
production pushing that?
Thank
That's what I
you.
don't get. If you guys are going to control the storylines and have it be all contrived,
Make him
we
ask her
already
on
know
a
it
date.
is. Then push them towards that. They just spent the whole episode flirting and all of that. Just be like, hey guys, like at this point, can we just, you know, let's grab a coffee, right before we
Let's
drive
go to
down,
soft
like
bar.
something, anything.
I
I don't
don't get
know.
it.
This just, we've been saying this each week, but it just further confirms. I think we are, seeing an eventual, maybe
Deterioration.
slow end
Yeah.
for Summer House. But we have some other ends that have come this week because Southern Charm has officially wound down. Had the
Hmm.
season finale. Which, what a lame season finale. I mean, it feels weird to even say that was the season finale, because I'm like, okay,
Austin simply just
talking
walking
through
away
Austin and Sally talking through a grate. That was
because they don't even
talking
care
through a
enough.
hole in the fence. That was the end of the. I mean, come on. If you you want to talk about a moment that is symbolic of this season, it's
Yeah.
that. It's the fact that the last few minutes of the finale were them talking through a fence. Like, what are we? Couldn't even be bothered to come back and look at her in the face.
He said, I care so little about this conversation. I'm going to stand here on the sidewalk and shout up to you as he was doing that thing where you're talking to someone in the grocery store that you run into, and the whole time you're like, kind of like, also moving away from them. You know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, no, totally. But you're getting farther and farther away to end the conversation. That was Austin. I'm like,
Yeah.
he doesn't even want, he's like, I think you're cool.
Couldn't give it their time of day. Well, and then I think you saw, well, maybe you did, that he addressed then on Watch What Happens, like, yeah, Sally keeps giving these interviews that were like hot and heavy, and we're not.
Which she does. She literally gave an interview to like Not Skinny, Not Fat. I think,
Yeah.
where she was like, yeah, I just really feel like we both really want to be together right now, and I'm like, this is a lot of where does
Projection.
Austin? Yes, projection.
Here's the other thing, okay? This is where we've talked about Sally a lot, and this is where I really struggle because I do like certain bits and pieces of her, right? Like I don't think that she's bad television, okay?
Yeah.
There is something about her that's kind of,
Yeah.
but where it's hard to like respect her like the way we do Madison is this current dynamic because Austin is in the one hand saying, oh yeah, they're really good friends. And then he's also saying, oh yeah, she's making it seem like if I were her, today would be the end for me. Like I know she was watching last night. I would not be able to continue
Oh.
that friendship because I've had male friends, I still do. Like if one of them went on live television and said, yeah, like, Nicole keeps talking about this like something's gonna happen, but like, it's not. I don't want to go grab a beer with you. I don't want to be your friend anymore. Now I'm just embarrassed. And what's crazy is Sally's waking up this morning and probably about to go get a coffee with Austin right now. And like
I
wherever they are in
know.
the world. It's like, girl, can you have some self-respect? Like, it's not just that he doesn't, like, he's not getting into a relationship with you. He's also talking about you publicly as if you are crazy.
Here's the thing.
There's no way. I'm not buying this friendship. Like that's
I'm not buying
the talk about each other.
Okay. Hold on. I said this weeks ago. Shep slept with Sally. That's it. That's all anyone needs to know about what's going on in this situation. Even if Austin sleeps with Sally, even if Craig sleeps with Sally, whatever, they are never going to claim someone who Eskimo brothered with their castmate. Like it's not happening, especially not Shep. Like my girlfriend is never going to be a girl.
Paige if Paige had slept with Shep. Wouldn't happen.
But forever and a day, if I'm getting married to this woman and Shep is one of my best men, which would happen in the case of Austin because they actually are friends, right? That Shep's gonna be like, been there, done. You're not letting that man have that over you.
Yeah.
So Sally needs to just realize that for that reason alone, it will never happen with either one of those men. She already shot herself in the foot. You should have never slept with Shep. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I need Charlie to go away.
Forever.
I do not like Charlie. I have not liked Charlie this whole season. She's beautiful when she's not making those weird faces, which just give us so much for the memes. I mean, it's like honestly some of my favorite photos over the last few weeks. But I mean, look, again, I know Sally is a very flawed character. And I actually will say, I think this has been one of the most divisive issues on the show because I keep seeing different support when it comes to this issue.
I do too.
But I am actually going to take a stand for Sally here, which is the opposite of, I think, probably the last couple of posts I saw that have said, like, Sally's just manipulative. Well, let's just break it down, Rhinestoners, actually, right? Because here's sort of the issues at play, right? On the one hand, it's obvious that Charlie was a bad friend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? And was like lying and all of that. And I think where people are on Charlie's side, though, is some of what we heard Molly saying about the situation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That Sally is used to getting what she wants. She's used to men coveting her. She's used to being the priority, wants to be in the spotlight, and that the Craig situation very obviously wounded her pride, and that is why this has been such a big deal, right? But I think where I'm still going to land on Sally's side here, because I agree with Molly. I think all of those things are true, and I think that is 100% who Sally is, right? She is the classic pick me girl. And those are not my type of women, I will say.
No,
But,
no.
but I do think what Charlie did was really messed up. And I feel like what makes it
And
even more
weird.
messed up now that we've gotten like the full story, for me, it actually adds to how messed up Charlie was being. Because I feel like during it now, she was actively also gaslighting Sally to feel like Sally was crazy for feeling the
I
way that she
agree.
was feeling. And you
Mm-hmm.
saw it even in the finale when she was blatantly lying that Sally never told her that she had feelings for Craig. And then Sally had to pull up the receipts to be like, yes, I did, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, it's very obvious, I think, where Charlie's priorities lie. I think it's very obvious how she feels about friendships and men. And it's kind of something that sadly, I think, is a fixture on this show. And that's where the context of it being in Charleston is important to remember because
Yeah.
I do think every season when it comes to the single ladies of the show, and this is where, again, I really do like Molly because you don't get the sense from her as much. There is just this prevailing sense of desperation.
Mhm.
And I think that there is, they've explained this to the viewers time and time again. Like it's a very, very small dating market.
Yeah.
I think the difference for Craig and Austin and Shep is they have more money and more exposure at this point to be traveling the world and making the world their dating market. But I think for a lot of these women that they cast on the show, that's not necessarily the case. Like Sally has an actual job,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
she's a
Yeah.
doctor, like I mean, or whatever it was, her
Yes.
surgeon, tech, whatever. Okay. She's
Pretty
making
much.
a
Yeah.
shit ton of money in an
Yeah.
actual job. Okay.
Yeah.
Charlie, okay, sure, maybe a little bit more ripe for, becoming an influencer or something like that, but also seems to have a steady job for the most
That she
part. Okay.
likes. Yeah.
Yeah, so these women that they pick, Taylor, okay, they are
Absolutely.
more grounded in the city of Charleston in terms
Yep.
of like spending time there. And I think if
Yep.
that's the case, as they've explained, the dating pool is very, very, very small, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting for the first several years of the show. But I
Mm-hmm.
think where it's becoming hard to watch now is it is affecting how these things play out, right? And it's like, it's almost like there can be no expectation of having two women on this show that are friends that aren't going to choose the men over each other
And
because that's all there is,
well,
like there's just this small pool and it's not to say like, oh, they could also just date guys off of the show, but like we also know too they have right, like they've been
yeah.
on those dates as well, so
Right.
now all they're choosing to do is like try and pick from the pool where they're having to
That's it.
spend a concentrated amount of time with these guys because they're filming. Okay. So it does consume your life. Right. And I'm just like, yeah, that's turned Charlie's brain crazy thinking, oh God, if I'm going to have to film this show for 3 months, like, and I'm still trying to find a man, but maybe it can be one of the ones on the show
Right.
and best friend be damned,
Right.
So
Oh,
it's just
totally.
like,
Oh,
we
totally.
we keep talking about this a lot in different ways, but it's really fascinating how like each Bravo show has a different reason why maintaining authentic storylines is becoming next to impossible, And I think with Southern Charm, like that's the main thing that's starting to drive me crazy is it's just like Charleston is starting to affect it to a certain extent, and it's just not as I don't know. Like, I don't think we're in a world anymore where like an Austin Madison thing could happen again. And that made the show really interesting.
Okay, you know what this makes me think is, oh, sorry, I'm gonna go tangent. It's not a tangent, it's just a weird example. But there, my husband was watching Moneyball the other day, and there's this scene in Moneyball with the general manager, played by that guy who died, Philip Seymour Hoffman. And Philip Seymour Hoffman in the movie is telling Brad Pitt, who's spending all the money doing other things, not paying the general manager, that
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's like, I'm only going to be able to give you a 1 year contract. And Philip is saying to him, like, I can't do what I need to do
Yeah.
under the guise of a 1 year contract, right? Like, I need it on. That is that that is, I think, maybe a little bit, and I understand Bravo maybe can't do this because they have to wait for the reviews and the ratings and
Yeah.
everything. But I think, to your point, if you were to come to someone like Charlie and say, Charlie, we're going to give you a 2 year contract on this show, okay? It gives Charlie the opportunity to say, okay, I have 2 years to build a storyline. I have 2 years to make something happen. This. Whereas I think what they go to these people and they say, you have 3 episodes. We're signing you on for 3 episodes. And so, to your point, we can smell the desperation on these people because they come on grabbing at anything to make it to the next 3 episodes, and everything feels incredibly inauthentic. Ben is running around yelling at Bailey because she stole film time from him. He's trying to make it to season 2. It's like maybe what we should have done is just say, like, hey, you are going to be cast for season 14 and 15 of Southern
Yeah.
Charm. You have 2 years to you can bring in your family. We'd like to see 2 storylines from you involving your family, maybe 2 storylines involving a friendship that is
Personal
deteriorating.
or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and then give these people a breath to something needs to change in the formula.
It's just, again, we shouldn't be able to like poke all of these holes. So it's feeling very weird. Yeah, so I don't expect Charlie to be back next season. That's my own personal prediction. I just don't really see like how she fits in. I think that's also why Sally is like at her peak Sally, because I think Sally just knows I need to do whatever it takes to make sure I'm
To
on the
make it to
show.
next season.
Yeah, and that's the whole Austin friendship too. I mean, like, I wouldn't, let's be real, like that's surely in
Yeah.
the back of her mind. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get in with this group so I can continue to be a part of it and let me
Yes.
see how far I can entrench myself in this boys club.
Yes. And she's
Um,
obviously more motivated by fame than Charlie is. Sally is
yeah.
more motivated than fame than Charlie is.
And
I
what's crazy is outside of that, I feel like we honestly covered anything worth even talking about for the last 2 episodes, because at
Oh
this
yeah,
point, I'm just
no.
looking forward to the reunion. I saw that we're going to get Madison back. And I do think the reunion will be good. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of beating on Craig, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. But I don't
And
know.
I know I've
This
said
was a
this a
very
million
weird
times.
Southern Charm season. I can't say it was one of my faves. It was a little bit lackluster, honestly.
The only thing that I will say to put a bow on it for the reunion is I've said this a million times, but I'm going to say it again. I just really Madison LaCroix is someone who I'm still in postpartum too, where I was convinced was gonna do the ultimate snapbacks of snapbacks, probably get on that GLP, make sure. And she has done this very slow and steady, thoughtful losing of the weight, building back her muscle. Now she's coming back to the reunion. She looks
Yeah,
strong. She doesn't look
so good.
emaciated. It's obvious that
I
she's
was
just
so happy to
working.
see that too, per our previous conversation. When I saw that photo, like, it did something in my soul that she was, yes, of course, kind of back to her fighting weight, but her face looks the same, and her body
Healthy.
still has, like, I just was like, oh my God, thank you for not taking the shortcut or becoming some weird, like, I would never want to see Madison that thin. Like, she's so stunning, and like,
Strong. You can
I
tell
just
she's
honest,
strong.
yeah, that honestly made me happy. She should
That made me
be talking
so
more
happy.
about her health routine, and like, I know she does and has, but like, yeah, just really, really nice to see.
Really nice to see. Really nice to see. Yeah.
We are kind of back to, well, we leave Charleston, we come right back to Charleston. Southern Hospitality is
Oh my
back
God. It's back. This
again.
show. They say give them
And
another season.
I was on the fence about when I was gonna watch this one when it first started airing, and then I did, and then I got hooked, and now like here we are. Um, I kind of miss, like, so we're 2 episodes in, and I kind of miss seeing her toxic boyfriend. Was it
Oh
Will?
yeah. What's his name?
Will, right?
Will.
I
Will.
mean, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean Will.
that's one thing I will say. Like, I know
I
we're
know.
definitely not gonna get him, but I'm like, I don't know. There was something about him that was like just so stereotypical. Like, he gives you a little bit of what you get from the Southern Charm guys, I think, obviously.
Totally normal guy creating so much chaos in his own
Yeah,
life. I love it.
100%. But 2 episodes in, I feel like we are stuck in the past, right? Like, I think that it's taking Maddie longer to get over what happened
Maddie.
with the lie, the Trevor lie.
Maddie.
Um, and I know you only watched the first episode, but this week we just got deeper and deeper into that because she's
I
now
feel so sad for
pulling
her.
the other people that were complicit into it and trying to kind of like work through her issues
I
with the
mean, as she
rest of the
should.
group, as she should. But I just want to say poor Joe, because what is wildly apparent through her anger, through her need to kind of like relitigate this with people, is I think she's still in love with Trevor. And I do sympathize, right? Like she's definitely spinning out, and I think it is a little bit too much, especially if like some of the conversations that were had about moving forward had happened. I get why, like, Bradley's frustrated, I actually believe him that they moved past it and now she's like digging it up again.
Retreading.
But we did get more acknowledgement from Maddie this episode that like she is having trouble moving past it,
Yeah.
right? And like she didn't say explicitly because she's still hung up on Trevor, but just like the weight of the situation. And it is very messed up when you think about it. I mean,
It's
you
it's so tough.
literally, like, that could have been the love of your life, and you're not. I
Yeah,
mean, and obviously it's not, because then the whole thing wouldn't have happened. I do believe that everything happens for a reason,
agreed.
but I can't imagine what it would feel like to know that you had ended a relationship, not just because of something a friend said, but because of something a friend said that wasn't even true. Like, that is a mind fuck. And so I do it's a hard one. I'm having a tough time deciding like whose side I'm on, because I'm like, okay, if they squash it and she's still bringing it up, that's hard. But but like I think she needs to ask herself if she really can be friends with these people again. I don't
I
know
would
how
never be
I
able to.
personally could move past something like that.
No,
Like,
no,
my
because
whole life would be different if you hadn't done what you did. That's a hard thing to then be like, let's go be friends.
it's actually kind of crazy that this is all just like happening on a show that like I do think people are watching it, but not a ton. This is a really crazy storyline. Like if this
Oh
were to
yeah,
happen in any other like if this were to be a storyline on Summer House, this would be the whole season.
totally.
That would have been the whole season. That the
Which
reason
it
why
might be right now for Southern Hospitality, because now
that's
second
also
episode
fair. We haven't
we're
seen.
still getting a lot of that. So
But
it
this
just
is
might
like
be.
this is actually crazy work. It's life changing what they've done. This could set this woman's life down. I mean, I know I'm being a little hyperbolic, but I'm being serious because heartbreak really fucks with people. And like,
Yeah.
if you are constantly thinking, what if, oh my God, that Megan Maroney song, I don't want to miss him on my wedding day. That's Maddie, right? It's like,
Well, and so like even on this week's episode, she did get a little bit more in depth with like why she's struggling so much, and she brought up a really great point. She was like, I basically ended she's like, when you are wronged in a relationship, your boyfriend cheats on you or whatever, she's like, there's a power in that, right? When you
hmm,
leave. And so she was like, I left my relationship feeling all powerful, like he cheated on me, he wronged me, whatever. And she's like, and now I'm having to come to terms with it wasn't true. She's like, I feel like an idiot.
oh my God,
She's like, and
I
I
didn't
was
even
like,
think about it through that
yeah, like
lens.
that is true. Like, because
You're like telling yourself you girl bossed that. You
he's
you
like,
you were
and
powerful and
she
got
was
over
reminiscing.
it.
She's like, I feel bad that I threw his phone. I feel bad that I ran after him with the crow. Like, she was going back through all the different things. Like, she's beating herself up at the same time. Like, I don't know. Like, it is making for great television, but I can't believe that she's even able to be around them. Like popping off on them would be the least of what would be happening if that were me.
It's also no
Um,
mystery to me that it happened to Maddie because this is how people are. Crabs in a fucking barrel, baby. She's crawling to the top, about to make it out, and they're like, no.
gotta bring you down, or you can't have we don't want you to have career success at the same time
You're
as,
having personal success,
yeah,
you
no,
know?
we wouldn't want that. Which, by
Yeah.
the way, I think I sent you this song, but I have to dig it up and send it to you again. This song, everybody supports women.
No,
It's so
you never
good.
sent it to me.
I'll send it. I mean, because that's basically, it's like, everyone supports women until, right? Like,
Oh
that's kind
yeah,
of the point of the song.
yeah,
Just kind of makes me
yeah,
naughty a little bit. I
yeah.
wonder if she actually be a really great song in a remix. But so yeah, Rhinestoners will continue, I think, to dig in on Southern Hospitality because I do think people are watching it, and I think Emmy is so unhinged. I think people are watching it for that too, just to see like what she's gonna do and like
I
what's
know,
gonna
she's such a
happen
loose cannon.
with her. And then I'm totally blanking on her name right now. Because she was who's the one like the stunning one?
Lake?
No, is it Maya or the one that's like almost like a beauty pageant? She wasn't on the first episode, I think.
Oh, the is she black?
I never knew if she was black or if she
I
was
always Grace Lilly?
no.
Mia
Mia.
Laria.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mia. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Mia is back. And so that would made for an interesting episode. Her and
Mia.
her and Maddie have a confrontation about what happened, and Mia's like, I wasn't in that group chat, Maddie. And then go back later and like she's in the group chat.
Oh
So,
no.
but I'm happy she's back and there's some developments with her. So yeah, anyways, we'll keep catching up on this one. I think that it is gonna continue to be popular actually, just because of some of the crazy stuff happening.
Okay, she is Trinidadian.
Okay. Okay. She is stunning
She's
and
stunning. Yeah,
yeah.
she's from Trinidad and Tobago and she competed in beauty pageants growing up.
Okay. Yeah.
So stunning.
Absolutely stunning.
She's a
So
beauty
I'm
queen.
happy. I'm happy she's back in the mix. We did see Grace Kelly last night, which I think we'd be remiss to mention though. Grace Kelly was arrested again yesterday for the second time in months on drug charges. Yes. So I don't know what's going on with Grace Kelly. I think that's obviously probably why she is not a permanent fixture on the show.
Y'all need to
But
put the cocaine down. You
I
need to put it down.
mean, yeah.
It's enough.
It's
It's
also just really
enough.
sad because like she was given this great platform on Southern Hospitality, and I think like now to see that she's getting arrested, it's like, ugh,
Just
how
some people cannot hold their arsenic, I swear.
the mighty have fallen.
Mm.
Well, one thing that I don't think you're watching that you should, and it's more because I'm gonna make a or reference a joke I saw. Ladies of London
Oh yeah, no.
has been rebooted and it is fascinating. Rhinestoners, if you're not watching it, you must, because I feel like it is actually it's giving or it's sort of the solution to a lot of what we're talking about right now, in that the women they have cast are fascinating.
Okay.
Fascinating. Like we have one woman who's a Marquess, I think. It's like the top of British nobility, and she basically helps run her entire husband's estate. They have a zoo on their estate. Like they've gotten like legitimate people. Another woman's ex-husband remarried one of Fergie's daughters, so her kids.
Oh, I might watch this. Okay, I'm gonna watch this.
Like these, and then there's a couple of Americans, but even they have their own story. So it's just like they're not doing very much, and yet it is just so interesting because along the way they're all talking about both themselves and then also how they know each other. There's a lot of like 15, 20-year friendships, relationships. So please watch it. But the reason I bring it up is because I saw a tweet this morning where someone said, decided to watch Ladies of London first tonight because it's airing after Beverly Hills. And they're like, and this is going to now make watching Beverly Hills even rougher than it was before.
It's like
because to get into
like
our Beverly Hills recap, we are, let's see, what is it? 4 or 5 episodes in now?
I was gonna say, are we not 17 episodes in by this point? This feels like the longest season.
Are we? I mean, no, really. Let's check this. Let's see. 2026. How many episodes are we? There's gotta be like
15th season and
okay, so we are on, oh wow, this is actually worse than I thought, people. Oh my God. So this week's episode was episode 13. And can I just say, folks, we are on episode 13. And the main drama, the main plot point.
Wait, I was kidding when I said episode 15.
Is a conversation that happened several episodes ago in which Amanda said something about Dorit's marriage. That's it, guys. 13 episodes in. That is all we have. That
we were like 4 episodes in. I was being funny.
No, that and we've discovered that Erica was abused and she's not going to give us any more about it. That's it. That's all we know, people.
Borrowing.
There is nothing else going on. Everyone's life is in the same place. Bo's trying to have a baby still. Nothing's happened. There's nothing progressing there. Kyle is just continuing to get beat up by
that spiral.
Nothing happening there. Sutton is on some healing, peaceful journey where, you know, she's nice Sutton now. So we're getting nothing from Sutton because she's
Sutton Brown
trying to like keep the peace. Erica's in a brand new relationship that she's not bringing to camera. Okay. This whole series is centered around Amanda and her being crazy, and then the one spat that she had with Dorit, and that's what we have to show for 13 episodes.
And also, Amanda isn't going like, I'm sorry, listen, I'll just say that. Amanda might be crazy, and Amanda also might be delusional, and I do think like what Bo said to her a couple of weeks ago was so dead on. Like, do you really expect the world to like acquiesce to your will? All of that is true about Amanda. I'm not saying that that's not true. However, 15 episodes in, we haven't broken the woman. She hasn't screamed. She hasn't yelled. She hasn't gotten off the table. She hasn't said, you guys are being mean to me and I'm leaving. Like, she's just, I mean, listen, yes.
Well,
she's had issues. She said this hurt my feelings, but she has been very calm. Like, all I'm trying to say is it's not like Amanda has been giving us so much week after week that she's not Teresa Giudice flipping tables. We are literally just watching a woman kind of be like, oh.
This is actually where I disagree with you. This is what is crazy to me. Amanda is actually giving more than the other housewives.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my whole point. She's giving nothing, but she's giving the most. Like,
yes. It's like we're still getting that.
Yes.
She lost a child. This whole story with her husband and how they got together, how she started her business, that she was in a cult. Like, every week there's a new tidbit about Amanda. So you have to at least give credit where credit is due. Okay. Yes. The only other person that is giving us anything in that way is Rachel Zoe.
That's what okay, exactly. So it goes back to what we were saying. Are these things interesting? Yes. Are they entertaining? No, they're not entertaining. Like, is even the Rachel Zoe and the Dorit and the Kyle et al. In the Hamptons, was that about to be entertaining? It was, and then they chopped us off at the knees.
Right when it was.
Sure. We didn't get anything. We didn't get dancing on the table. We didn't get making out with a guy. We didn't get hot girl summer. We didn't even get them in bikinis. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, I didn't even get a full Dorit booby shot. Like, I'm mad. I wanted to see what the second round of a lift looked like. You know, she just got those bad dogs done. It's like, I'm just confused. We don't get sizzle. We don't get intrigue. There's not fashion anymore because all of the fashion now is just whatever Bravo stylists are pushing on these people. Like, even when I texted you about Charlie's reunion look, I went to see who she's wearing like this white whatever, and it's just okay. That is some. I went to see what that was. It is some up and coming LA artist that her stylist knows, and then I clicked on it. And Melissa Gorga has one that. Okay, so even that, I'm thinking like, man, like even with Bravo, everything is so recycled to the point that they're just all like using the same even fashion. You know, I don't. I'm bored.
I just And I will say, I love fashion, so the elements of Beverly Hills that I've always enjoyed are still there. It is fun to watch these women get dressed up, to see what they come down wearing. I was absolutely dead when Rachel saw that Amanda was also in a similar print to her. Like, that just killed me because we know Rachel does not like Amanda. There's nothing
Kyle
better
saying to
than
Rachel last episode, it's Zara. And then Rachel being like, she had to take a second to compute because she was going to be like, gross, but she's like, Zara's so good.
Yeah. Like,
no, in her head, she's like,
well, and I also enjoyed too that none of them have any sense of cohesiveness, or I mean, like, as we were getting each of those outfits for the dinner this week, I was just like, where are we? What is happening? Amanda and Rachel are in Italy. Bose looks like she's in Miami. Okay. I don't know where we're going with like the hot pink. Sutton looks like she's in the Thomas Crown Affair. The white thing tucked in. I was like, what are we where are we going in this outfit? Like
Not an ascot.
not, Jennifer Tilly, I do think you just got to hand it to her. Like when I saw that hat on the bed, I was like, "Oh dear God." And then when she had it on, I was like, "Okay, actually she looks pretty badass in this dress and like
Agreed.
the big hat."
Yeah.
I feel like Kathy was Italy, but like Italy daytime.
Italy daytime.
Like
Italy on a
it might
boat.
have even been a little too like French Riviera.
I
So
agree.
I don't know how like, Dorit I loved,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Dorit, but even that, Dorit was giving me more like Rome, right? Not
Yes.
like Tuscany, like or like even
Yes.
Milan, like going out for
Yes.
dinner. So
Yeah.
that is where there is entertainment value for me because you're just like, why? And together you guys like look like
And
you're going to
how?
50 different places, and they always do that, except for when they dress the exact same and all show up in black. Um, but I don't know. It's like all the pieces are there, but it's just not, I am kind of interested in Rachel Zoe and her personal life. It's kind of fascinating. I think the reason for me personally, though, that's interesting, and it might not be as interesting, is if you haven't watched her show,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
that's interesting because like, if you watch the Rachel Zoe show, then you watch her relationship with Roger. You
Right.
watch them go through the whole struggle of like, were they going to have kids? Were they not going to want to have kids? So I do think that's a unique instance where even though he's not ever going to be on camera, it's interesting, right?
It
We're
is.
like,
It is.
oh, okay, yeah, what has been going on in this
Yes.
relationship that we watched on camera for years and years?
Yes. Yes.
But there's just not a lot of conflict outside of Dorit and Amanda that seems to be bringing all of the women together and bringing all of the women into it. And I think that is where we're struggling. It's
Yeah.
just the Amanda and Dorit show, and then everyone else wants to kind of, crowd in. And I think that it also is just kind of furthering to like some of the negative things that I already think about the women. Like I really did not love the scene last night with Amanda, Kyle, and Sutton. I
Hmm.
feel like Sutton was maybe a little bit less, you know, egregious in this whole thing, but Kyle was being such a mean girl in
What
that
was going on
scene,
with that?
coaching Amanda through why she should be more upset and like
Yeah.
literally like if you want to talk about breaking the fourth wall, I felt like we were majorly getting Kyle producer in that moment,
Hmm.
not
Yep.
Kyle housewife. She
Yep.
was in part of that scene like feeding Amanda on what she should say to
Yep.
Dorit, explicitly
Yep.
saying, well, you should call out the contradiction and say to her, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, what are we
Mhm.
watching? Like, you're
Mhm.
trying, like, it's not even a suggestion. You're like propping her up with everything she needs in the hope that within this episode, she's going to go and say that to Dorit. And I'm just like,
Okay.
it's unwatchable at this point.
Really quick, you know what you're saying makes me think of? In the early days of Roni, when it was the original cast, one thing that they did that I'm almost thinking like maybe this is too formulaic, but I'm just throwing this out here as an idea, okay? One thing that they used to do a lot because all of those women were so rich and they did have such like Kelly Ben Simone had a
Yeah.
real name behind her, okay? And I remember so much of the drama in those early seasons were like, I've been approached for a charity. That charity would really like four other women from the show to be on the charity. And it would
Yeah.
be them like sitting around planning this thing. And Kelly would be like saying some random shit. And Bethany
Yeah.
would be like, what? Or there was another one where um, it was like Ramona and Dorinda, and they're like they're standing there talking over each other at the award ceremony, right? And it was so right because they used to, even if they weren't real friends, because they were part of this New York society, it
Yeah.
made them mesh together in
Yeah.
New York society situations that maybe
Totally.
even if they were beefing, they still had to be on this board together. there has to be something if we're going to keep the same cast in Beverly Hills. There has to be the homeless not toothless. I know that was a couple of seasons ago and we can laugh at that, but that was even a moment where that gave us like a meat in that episode to laugh
Yeah.
at. It gave us 3 episodes after that. It gave us something that they were all working on. We have to think of ways. The conflict on Beverly Hills is simply conflict.
Yeah.
There has to be conflict around some sort of story, right? And that's in the way that I do
Or
think
it's not.
maybe
Yeah.
we could produce something else is all I'm trying to say than
It's
just
not just conflict around story, which is one route. It's that the conflicts used to come from the friendships. And I think
there you
the
go.
real issue with a lot of the shows right now is that we, the viewers, know that the friendships are not really there.
As soon
And
as lights are
and
off.
and what's hard about that is like they did used to be. It's not that all
Mhm.
used to be manufactured. I mean, we've talked about this with Salt Lake, where that was probably it's probably the best example of like the friendship starting out as manufactured. But what's
I
making
agree.
Beverly Hills really hard right now is that Kyle and Dorit used to be friends, but we as a viewer know right now very clearly they're not. We're also supposed to believe that Kyle and Dorit have been good friends, but we're watching as Erica decides not to tell Dorit that she has a boyfriend. So there's just example after example. Same thing I've mentioned with Rachel and Kyle. Rachel goes on a trip to the Hamptons, picks 2 people with her, and one of them is a woman who she has known of for decades but chosen to not make a friend, i.e., Kyle
Right.
Richards. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
it's so contrived in that sense because they're giving us these little details along the way where we know they're not
What's
really
going
friends.
on?
The only like real friends that I think are truly believable at this point, which is the irony of all ironies, is Bose and Dorit.
Yeah. No, I
You
I
get a sense
agree.
that those
I
two
agree.
are talking. They are locked in. They are in each other's lives. They know their kid. It's like the whole thing. Like you can tell that as a viewer. Everything else is like we are friends when we are at these events together. We're friends when we get invited to the lunch. We're friends when
I
we
knew
on the cast trip.
I knew it was real when Dorit posted the image from the PJ with the all black friend group, and it's
Yeah,
just Dorit. I'm like, oh, she made it.
she's
Oh,
totally
she
okay. And
actually made it.
actually, as a second, I will say Jennifer Tilly and Sutton are also friends as
And
well.
I think that that's really interesting too, because I think my read on that really quickly, and then we can break. But my read on that is, I do think that Jennifer Tilly is experiencing a lot of discomfort in her friendship right now with Sutton. I think there's also a level of like, okay, well now, the year that we are discovering that discomfort is also the year that I happen to be on camera with her, so that's unfortunate timing. I do think, though, to your point, that's why we're 13 episodes in, and we thought, I'll say we thought, Danny Pellegrino, who I listened to, right? There was some, I think he was mentioning like that was going to come to a head.
Yeah.
I don't see Jennifer Tilly allowing that to happen. I think that she is going to keep that off camera as well, to your point. Like, we're
Yeah.
not going to get the Sutton and the Jennifer going head to head because I
No.
do think that they're really friends, and I
Well,
do think Jennifer cares.
you want to know why we're also not going to too? She is a friend of. Very interesting clip came out this week from Jennifer Tilly talking about how when she first got asked to go on the show, they said to her, "Do you want to be a housewife or do you want to be a friend of?" And she said that she actually reached out to Kathy Hilton to ask Kathy what she thought she should do. And Kathy told her, "You should be a friend of because you can be a part of it and then not have to be in any of the conflict."
There you
And
go.
so Jennifer Tilly said, "I chose that because that sounded like more fun."
And
So
she's having fun for the most
that,
part.
but to your point, that is why they'll never go there because she's not a housewife. She doesn't
Yeah,
have to dig in on her
she
and
doesn't have
Sutton's
to do that.
friendship. She can get away with Sutton I have some issues, but I'm not going to talk about this here.
Yeah,
I'm a friend. I'm a friend.
yeah.
I'm not an
Friend.
actual housewife. So
That was
I don't
smart for her
know.
too.
I'm guessing we have what, a handful of episodes left, and I know that we are going to see this Italy trip devolve into chaos. So maybe we'll just have to accept that it's the end of the season that gives us anything. But I will.
Allegedly, we're looking at a 20 episode season. That sometimes, as we all know,
Okay,
depending upon what happens, they
maybe
will
they'll
they
make it
will
up
cut filming.
in the last.
So
But yeah, this is been an interesting one.
it's been very interesting.
So much Bravo. It's good to catch up.
Oh, but you know what? I'm just worried about this summer. I'm like, what are we gonna watch this summer when all these shows are off?
Oh, well, I have plenty of things that are not Bravo that I want you to watch. So I think
Great.
we can pivot to because I'm watching some new Hulu shows and there's definitely some other stuff going on that we could check out. But
I just renewed my Hulu subscription because I was like, there's some good stuff on Hulu, actually.
watch Paradise from the beginning.
Oh, I'll watch that with Matt. Oh,
Yes, I was just getting ready to
I'll watch that with my husband.
was just getting ready to say the hubby will like that one.
I
Yes,
know
that
he
is
would.
definitely. I told mom and dad to watch that one too.
And you know
That's
what? I'm sorry. I'm so proud of him for fighting to be back in Hollywood. He said, "No, I'm not
Shirley Kane
done."
Brown.
He said, "I know I was saying some shit back in the day, but him. I thought he got screwed over by Grays. I like him."
Yeah. Well, no, but he was in This Is Us too.
Oh my God, I never watched that show. He
Yeah,
was in
no. I
that.
wish you would have watched This Is Us. There's so many things about This Is
Oh,
Us that I would have loved to have talked to you about. It's such a because it's like
Randall.
it's like the next Parenthood, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which,
There's a lot of things in that show
which,
that are fun to discuss.
by the way, all of this talk about Oscar, and I still think to myself, I wonder how many people have seen Parenthood. How many people have seen that man, Michael B. Jordan, in his first original,
I
you
think
know
a
what
lot
I
of
mean?
people have seen Parenthood.
Really?
Yeah,
Because
Rhinestoners,
he
tell
was so
us.
good in that.
Have you watched Parenthood? I bet other millennials have. That Parenthood
Okay.
was
I think
primo.
I would assume a lot of people who are our age watched it because it was an opportunity to see Lorelai Gilmore on screen.
Yeah, 100%. I just saw her this week doing press for something, and like she was getting asked about like if Gilmore Girls is coming back or whatever. But Mark Consuelos was interviewing her and told a story about how he became obsessed with Gilmore Girls because his two nieces made him watch it. And I think that that just shows how like certain people, certain shows skip to the next generation,
Yep. Yep.
So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, there's people still watching Gilmore Girls that are very young and probably know her through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Rhinestoners, join us back here next week for Oscar recap and continuation of some of our favorite Bravo shows. We'll have Southern Charm reunion, some more shenanigans on Southern Hospitality, and
and then
maybe
whatever
Ladies in
happens in
London. If you get a chance to watch it, we can start talking about that too.
I have nothing to add. I don't think I'm going to link anything because I don't think we mentioned any. Oh, you know what? No, we will. I'm sorry, Rhinestoners. We'll put the link into the Lindy West article down
Oh, yeah,
below, and y'all can check that out.
that's a good
And that's
one.
it.
All
I
right,
love you,
sissy.
Sissy.
I love you too. Have a good rest of your
Have such a good
day.
weekend.
Bye.